How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? What's good? Welcome to the brand video, guys. Let's take a look at some Pokemon rumors, leaks, all that kind of stuff. You know the jazz. Let's go. So, starting things off, guys, we have this post over on Game Rant about potentially how Legends ZA Switch 2 rumors are being explained. So basically, Legends ZA release date has been causing a ruckus due to the rumors surrounding Nintendo Switch 2, but there's more to it to consider. So that's pretty much what we're going to take a look at. Sit back, relax, grab yourself a beverage, and if I'm bouncing my head, it's because I'm listening to some music in the background, but let's get started. So, first things first, Pokemon Legends ZA surprised fans with Mega Evolution. That's not really important, it's just highlights. Here's what actually the information starts. So, Legends ZA sneaked up on a lot of fans, expecting to hear Johto and Unova news on Pokemon Day rather than a new Kalos title, but the game very well may turn out to be an even more successful one than Legends Arceus. One of the main reasons why the game can be a huge hit is that Legends ZA includes Mega Evolution, which is arguably the most beloved gimmick, etc., etc. Now, there are pros and cons of Legends ZA launching on the Switch 2. Now, I don't know why they're talking about Switch 2 in this case, but let's see what they have to say. Another reason why fans are excited about Pokemon Legends ZA is that its release window may align with that of Switch 2, with rumors surfacing online pushing for this theory. So, there are both pros and cons. Launching on the Switch 2, with the pros far outweighing any cons, especially if you're thinking about the possibility of a next-gen Pokemon game after problematic launch of Gen 9. The situation is much more complex than that, though, as the Nintendo Switch 2, or whatever the final name may be, has yet to be officially announced as a new console, let alone its release window, which is true, or even release date. Everything about it must be taken with a pinch of salt. So, of course, you guys already know that Switch 2 rumors, for starters, Nintendo Switch 2 was supposed to be revealed in March 2024, according to recent rumors. So yes, there has been a lot of talks about that, and a lot of people theorizing, will we get Pokemon like Legends ZA on the Switch 2 right off the bat, like on launch day? Who knows? They say. For starters, Nintendo Switch 2 was supposed to be revealed in March 2024, according to recent rumors, and possibly released in fall of this year. More recently, however, the narrative has changed, and it seems that Nintendo Switch will launch sometime in Q1 of 2025. If you open up this actual post right here, you'll see the Sega leaker chimes in on Nintendo Switch 2 release month rumor. So the prominent Sega leaker offers some additional insight about the rumors pointing at the Switch 2 release this month. So, prominent Sega leaker Midori corroborated a recent report claiming Nintendo was aiming to release the Switch 2 in March 2025. Now, insiders suggested that Sega was only notified about the delay last week. The past reports also indicated that Sega will have a strong launch presence on the Switch 2. Well-known Sega leaker has apparently corroborated some recent stuff. Basically, this person, February from Nikkei, claiming that so Nikkei is like a company, I think, claiming that Nintendo is aiming to release the Switch 2 in March 2025, following an internal delay, by the way, of the console. And it turns out the story was subsequently corroborated by Midori, a prominent insider with a substantial track record of Sega-related leaks. So specifically, a Sega leaker taking to Twitter on February 26, Midori described the details outlined in Nikkei's report as correct. The leaker also noted that the news of the Switch 2 internal delay came as a surprise to the publisher, labeling it as a unique situation. Nintendo developer partners close to Midori, a group that ostensibly includes Sega, are said to have only become aware of the new release window last week. And this is what he basically said here. This is Nikkei saying that there was a delay right here in this tweet. And then, of course, MBKSSSTBH, whatever you want to call it, Midori, right? He says, it is correct information. And you guys can actually go to the tweet here and see what they were saying. Basically, it is correct information. It is information that was sudden to the publishers, and it's a unique situation. I do not have information on hardware announcement plans. Nintendo titles are hardware information. March 2025 is a firm date. Is the release timing we are aware of from last week. So yeah, it is the 8-year anniversary then. Maybe that's when they're going to release the follow-up, right? In March of next year. So literally a year from now, Switch 2 being released. But the reveal could still happen sometime soon, or the reveal could happen around June, right? That's when the possibility is for that. So, back to the actual post here, originally about Pokemon. So, the console could have been revealed could be revealed as early as June 2024, but its release window is up in the air considering how it could be released between January and April, possibly even May of next year. Now, how does Pokemon Legends ZA's release window compare to the Switch 2's? Well, that's all if the rumors are actually true. At the same time, all the fans currently know about Pokemon Legends ZA's release is that it will come at some point in 2025, which, yes, it's literally all we know about this game. Like, let's be honest, we only know the release year. We don't even know the release date. We don't know gameplay. We don't know anything else. We just know it's coming out next year, which, based on current rumors, would make for a great launch in March of next year due to the 8th anniversary of the original console. Aside from few exceptions, Pokemon games tend to launch in November, a tradition that has been going on for a long time. Pokemon Legends Arceus came out in January of 2022 after Gen 4 remakes in November 2021, and before Gen 9 in November 2022, which doesn't guarantee Pokemon Legends ZA will do the same. Now, why the Pokemon Legends ZA and Switch 2 rumors don't hold up? Now, Pokémon Legends ZA and the Switch 2's release date, rumor explained. In fact, the end of 2021 and 2022 were packed with Pokemon releases. So, while Pokemon Legends Arceus does not set a precedent for new titles to release outside of November, it may have been the byproduct of other titles taking the spot. If Gen 10 games are moved to 2026 to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the franchise, for example, then it seems likely that Pokemon Legends ZA will be released in November 2025. This is all speculation, and it's also not counting the important fact that typical Nintendo hardware doesn't launch with Pokemon games, which is true. As such, while it theoretically makes sense to associate a two based on the 2025 window, it's most likely that Nintendo Switch 2 and Pokemon Legends ZA will not come in pairs, which is true. And I know some people are saying, like, I saw some people, like, you know, trying to say, like, oh, but in the tweet, and they say it's coming for all Switch consoles. Yeah, but there are many Switch consoles already. You have Nintendo Switch Lite, you have Nintendo Switch OLED, you have Nintendo Switch. You already have versions of the Switch that exist, and that's what they mean by all Nintendo Switch consoles. Of course, that doesn't mean that this game may not be the first, like, actual, forwards compatible game, so to say, right? A game that actually works on the current, the old hardware and the new hardware. Like, it might be the first time they do this. This would be crazy if they did, but it's not something they've ever done before, so it's all up in the air as of right now. But I would love to know what you guys think about this. What do you think about, like, the Switch 2 and its connection to Legends EA, if they will both be in the same kind of box, in a sense? Like, do you guys think that's a possibility? Let me know. Next up, though, is a really fun post. This is from 4chan, and this is an old post that this person made. And basically, it is, it's really just something. It's an old post from 2016, okay? 2016 is when this was posted. And this guy said, Pokemon Z leak. And he says, hi, nice to meet you all. I'm working at the Pokemon Company International. Sorry, I can't tell you my name. I'm revealing Pokemon Z for Pokemon fans. Next mainline game is not called Pokemon Z, XZ, or XY, or X2 or Y2. And it will be called Pokemon XYZ. XYZ features over 30 new Mega Evolved Pokemon. Chestnut, Delphox, and Greninja get Mega Evolved. Mew gets a Mega Evolved too. Doesn't mean it will be caught in the game, though. Zygarde gets a new form. We already know. Volcanion gets a new form. Ash's Froakie will be distributed when this game comes out. It has protein and holds an item that can transform Greninja into Ash Greninja. The game's story will focus on the Eternal Floette and Zygarde. This game has 3 regions, Kalos, Hoenn, Emerald, and Kanto because of the 20th anniversary. Kalos gets updated, added new locations, and Battle Maison, Kalos, and Battle Frontier Hoenn are in this game. Of course, this was fake, but it's kind of fun because there are a lot of these old posts that specifically do say a lot of stuff like this, so I just thought it would be just funny to kind of bring it up and mention it because there's going to be a lot of stuff like that going into the future, a lot of old posts that might resurface, but I just thought it would be fun to mention that one. Next up is a bit of a theory prediction here from somebody called Rons132 over on the r/Legends ZA Reddit, saying predictions for the Pokemon Legends ZA game. Apparently, here's his predictions. Redevelopment plan might be set in the future instead of the past. Chances are low, but you never know, not to mention futuristic feel. So the whole, like, urban redevelopment thing. The A in the title looks a lot like the ultimate weapon, so the story might take place in the Kalos War. We've already talked about a bit about this. AZ is 3,000 plus years old, so whether if it's in the past or the future, is most likely going to be very important, which, yes, true. Like, the game's called ZA. His name is literally AZ. It's the backwards version of it. So, yeah, now, someone's probably going to get sent through time again, and I'm betting it's either Taito or Lisa, since Game Freak loves separating siblings, and it could give them more time in the spotlight, which also would make sense because of the connection between Kalos and Hoenn, right? Because during Kalos' release is also when we got the Hoenn remake, so in some sense, actually would make sense. It would actually work. It would be kind of weird, but it would make sense. I think that's actually the most interesting part of this theory is Tate and Lisa being sent back in time as well. Like, that actually sounds pretty interesting, pretty cool. Or we might see, like, Ingo and his broski again, or his brother instead, and all that. So I digress. It's just a fun little theory. Moving on, though, we have a post from Soul Silver Art. Now, Soul Silver is our boy, and it basically came out and said, here's a bit of a theory about, like, some stuff when it comes to megas. And he's talking about, like, a few issues with megas coming up in this, like, about the actual upcoming game, saying the 2 substantial issues of Mega, as they are now, are less impactful than the other previous 2. But basically, in his previous post, he said that he has, like, he has a bit of a worry about how it's going to work. Second big issue with Megas, in my opinion, is one we all know. Megas are a gimmick that's rarely in other games, meaning all new Megas in PLZA could be gone after PLZA or Gen 10 and not seen again for years. A perfect example are the starters. Would you rather them get regional forms that are attached to the battle gimmick and can be added in any game at any time, or they get really cool megas that can only be in a game that has a mega evolution mechanic? That's true. So this is a bit of an issue that does exist with these games. It is literally the fact that, like, at any point, at any given time, they could literally remove the mega evolution in the next game. And you know what happens then? we don't have access to the megas we got in Legends ZA. Like, they could do that at any given time. Like, it literally could happen at any point, which is always a bit terrifying. I'm not going to lie. It's always a bit scary. But I would love to know you guys think about that. Like, how do you feel about megas returning and the fact that they could, like, disappear at any instant? Like, the moment they feel like they want to get rid of it, they could literally get rid of it. Like, it's not even a difficult task for them to do at that point. Like, literally just click of a button and they don't do them anymore. Like, that's, like, my biggest fear has got to be that. Like, I don't want them to do that. Next up, though, is a little bit of a cool thing about specifically starter Pokemon. But somebody noticed that if you actually look inside of the lab, of Sycamore's lab, you can actually see it's specifically 2 stages only. So not to mention that this thing's cool, but basically it's a picture of what seems to be Snivy and its mid-stage evolution, right? You see Snivy and you see like Servine or whatever it's called. You see Servine and you see Snivy specifically in the lab here. But you don't see the final stage evolution, which is really interesting. So that making people speculate that, ooh, I guess Snivy could be one of the starter Pokemon we might see in Legends ZA, and they might base it off of this thing, or they might base it off of the fact that they already hinted it in the trailer for the Indigo Disc. Like, they actually hinted it there. But then again, you got to remember, X and Y came out right after, like, Gen 5, so there was a lot of Gen 5 references in the game, and there are a lot of connections between Gen 5 and this game, too. So, again, I would really love to know what you guys actually think about this. Let me know in the comment section down below, and let's move on to the next thing, which is going to be this right here. Now, this is actually posted from Soul, who says, took a while to notice this, but here we are. This will be my pet conspiracy theory for years to come, or until we get a Gen 5 Black and White remake that finally proves or debunks it. Honestly, the both of them having Hydra Pokemon and villainous tendencies just makes the connection even stronger. So he's talking about Jetsis, and of course, I forget his name now. Jeez, I literally forget what my guy's actually called. I don't remember his name. I literally don't remember his name. Carmen and her brother, and I forget the brother's name. Don't ask me why I forgot it. Doesn't matter. Basically, the two of them have a lot of similarities, right? Their hair is very similar, obviously. The Hydra Ace Pokemon, of course, that's another similarity, like, pretty evidently. It's clear that these two are connected somehow. Family, maybe, who knows? Like, there's a connection between the two of them. I don't know if it's ancestry or what it is, but it's a clear connection between the two. So, again, this brings me back to something I already talked about in several videos, which is the fact that, remember, Pokemon Company has started a whole new company now called Pokemon Works Japan. You guys may know this. I've talked about this in several videos. The website's not accessible yet, but it has been registered, right? And as he talks about here, the fact that, like, you know, we know it would be perfect time, like, right now, you know, what would be the perfect time to announce a new Pokemon Works company, right? So it's literally called Pokemon Works, right? Remember, like, the actual company is called Pokemon Works. It's a joint venture between Ilka, who made BDSP, and the Pokemon Company, which is ran and owned by Nintendo, Game Freak, and Creatures Inc., right? So it's a joint venture between the big company and Ilka. Boom. They're merging together to make something new called Pokemon Works, which is a studio that's confirmed to be making video games, Pokemon video games specifically, right? So in May 2024, maybe alongside an announcement of a Black and White remake made by an outsourced team, isn't the Investors Business Conference also for the Pokemon Company? Yes, in May. So, if you guys don't know this, Pokemon holds their investors meetings and their business conferences. They hold those around May or June. Usually May, like end of May is when they usually hold them, and that's also when we got the reveal of Let's Go Pikachu Navy. And I talked about this in my video from yesterday, I think, that this is a very common thing that happens with them. They will do these things, but also, that's how they revealed Let's Go Pikachu Navy. They revealed it during the press conference, not in a Nintendo Direct, not in a Pokemon Direct, not in a Pokemon Presents, not in anything else. They did it in a weird live stream of their press conference for their investors. It was so out of the blue and so weird. So would it be that crazy to assume that they could do that again to announce this brand new company called Pokemon Works, which the investors don't know what Pokemon Works is. They don't know what they're working on. Haha, pun intended. Nonetheless, though, my point is, nobody actually knows what Pokemon Works is working on, right? I'm gonna, it's gonna be so hard to, like, talk about Pokemon Works without literally, you know what I mean? But basically, what I'm trying to say is, May is the perfect time. May is the perfect, like, the literal perfect time to announce this. Like, it is the best timing they could have possibly gotten to do this. So that's where it kind of leaves me with this, where I feel like it's a high possibility we might see something more announced, which also perfectly would give us something, you know, to connect back to all these things we saw in, you know, Indigo Disc and everything. It would make perfect connections. So that's where we're going to leave that one. Moving on, we have a bit of a theory here from Soul again, which is some big things in Pokemon that have been happening behind the scenes today. I don't mean to jump to conclusions, but you heard it here first. Generation 10 might be based in Mexico and Latin America, confirmed. Why make a sudden shift from Spanish from Spain to Latin American Spanish, especially when this painting exists, especially just coming off of the Spanish region in Paldea. So he's talking about this picture, which reminds him of like, kind of a more of a Mexican-esque, like, or Latin American. I don't know if Mexican is really the right way to put it, but basically a Latin American kind of vibe to it. And it literally says this painting is entitled Street Midday. It depicts a beautiful town in a different region, which is in our house in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. And then the fact that, like, breaking information, translation of Pokemon into Latin American is confirmed now. So yes, you have Spanish, and then you have Latin American Spanish, right? Which is, they all do have different things. Like, for example, Bug is, I'm not going to say that. But yeah, you got that, and you got Lucha for specifically Spanish fighting type. Latin American now is Insecto for, Bug, and Pelea for, specifically fighting type. So they have separated those two right now, which is really interesting that they would do that. But again, they did also do this for I think, traditional Chinese. I think they did it for, like, Mandarin way back, like, in, I don't know which generation it was. I think right here. I don't even know if, like, Latin America country as a basis. I wouldn't say this is a hint, though. I think Sun and Moon added traditional Chinese as a language. Maybe it was X and Y, but either way, that wasn't indicative of anything. Just means Pokemon Company is being more inclusive, which is true. It doesn't necessarily mean we're going to get a region based off of those locations. It just could be the case that they just want to be a little bit more inclusive with it. And of course, they have new translations for everything, right? Now, Latin American unique Pokemon will be officially known as mythical Pokemon, Mythicos. And basically, Pokemon that are shiny would be varicolor. So, like, varied color or alternate colored, which is pretty neat, I guess. But yeah, so if you are from Latin America, I guess you got to be very happy with this because you got your own translation now, which is pretty neat. But yes, I just want to include this because it's an interesting thing. Like, where do we think Generation 10 would even be based? I personally, honestly, right now, have no theories. Either they stay in Europe and we get, like, Italy, Greece, something like that, or my biggest speculation is the Netherlands. I think the Netherlands is the most possible one for me, is a Netherlands-based region. I could be wrong, but that's at least where my theory still remains as of today. But moving on, we have a bit of other theory from Pokestar Idol. Says, Pokemon Legends Arceus is a different universe. Arceus creates two different worlds, the Pokemon world and the Pokemon Legends world. Arceus sends us back in time and the space beyond to a new world from the world we once knew, showing Legends ZA made how people from the past and the future. So I think he's trying to say, welcome to my realm, located beyond both time and space. But I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if that's what's happening here. If, like, when you're being, thrust through this thing, I think what he's talking about is, like, when he says my realm, it's literally how, like, he has his own space because he creates time, space, the world. He creates everything, right? And what he has right here, he's got his own literal, like, separate realm, like, literally outside of the human, like, of the existing, universe that we existed within Pokemon, where he specifically takes us and talks to us before sending us back in time. Which is, again, still a bit weird, not gonna lie. Moving on, though. The Pokemon Legends world is a different world, so we are going to a different Lumio city from the original Lumios. This one doesn't have gyms and other cities and towns. It's possible the new Lumio city is the only city, and it holds a lot of, it holds, I guess, a lot of the outside world inside of it, I guess is what you're trying to say. Meaning we're still going to be getting a big and growing world and more to build on the outside as you can explore on the outside and the map gets bigger. The Lumios city, bigger. The old Lumio city only has a north and south boulevard, but what about the east, the west, etc.? Yeah, I guess that's a fair way to look at it, right? Again, it's just a theory, though, so I'm not really going to put too much into it. I'm not I'm not gonna go in depth on this one. I'm gonna be honest. Like, it's interesting, but I don't think it's worthwhile, like, deep diving that far into it. Just an interesting theory, nonetheless, though. I'm going to just put it there. I'm just going to put it like that. It's just an interesting theory, no matter what way you split it. And there is somebody who tried to compare, like, how large will actually this be by trying to make a comparison to, like, the actual size of the Eiffel Tower by doing, like, the 95 pixels here, a real width of the Eiffel Tower, and try to compare it to the actual size of this place, which approximately would be the size of, like, 6.87% of the Paldean map size, which I don't know if that's, like, actually realistic. They're redeveloping the city, so I don't really, like, again, I don't think it's a one-to-one. I don't think you can literally compare real world to this. I don't think it's really worthwhile to do that. So I'm just going to put that out there and just say what I think. Next up, though, is a bit of a weird, guy who posts these things on 4chan. So this dude who says, like, every time he makes a post, there's these pictures of, like, a Pokemon, and then it says Y or A or whatever, and then a picture of Pokemon, and then kind of shows this kind of stuff, which is a little bit weird. But I don't know what's going on here. But basically, this guy here kind of tries to break this down at least, saying, I know these are fake, but they're kind of fun. A big hype if Mightyena gets something. As for this puzzle, the Y and A makes me think that it'll be tied to Yveltal and the A legendary somehow. Maybe it'll be a death-influenced or something Pokemon. The creatures from the left picture resembles the depictions of the French beast of Gévaudan, which is a very fitting of the French-inspired Kalos, but I cannot find the exact source of that image when looking for it, so I could be wrong. And obviously, the Mega Evolution symbol means it'll be a Mega Evolution, and sadly not a cross-gen Evo. Cleavor is interesting, though. Could mean that a couple of different things. First, Mightyena goes from a quadrupled to bipedal. The Mega is very ancient times inspired, fitting in the picture on the left, and it gains the Rock type, which would suck unless it's going to get some unique and boosted Rock type moves. Cleavor being a cross-gen evolution could mean that somehow some Megas could become permanent evolutions, which would actually be pretty cool. I think that'd be pretty sick. If they were to somehow turn like Mega Evolution and like find a way to like, oh, we made a method to actually keep the Mega Evolutions permanent. Ooh, that would actually be pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. That would be pretty sick. But again, it's just a theory. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Next up, though, I was already talking about this earlier, right? About this Pokemon Works company. It's like what we spent, honestly, most of the last few videos talking about. But this person here called Lucky One Monster. Now, I don't know who this person is, but I saw a few other people mentioning them. And basically, they're followed by Soul Silvers. I don't know what the connection is. I'm going to be honest. But this person actually replied to this tweet where Centro said, the Pokemon company has registered a new subsidiary called Pokemon Works and is located in the same building as Ilka. We have no idea what this is about. And Lucky One Monster here literally says, the way I know exactly what this is about, but I signed an NDA. Implying that they know something, but I don't know if this person is an actual insider, if they genuinely know information. I don't know. I'm very curious to know what they could know, but again, it's not really much there. There's not really nothing to work with when it comes to this individual. So, again, it's a theory for now. Like, we can always, like, pay attention to this individual if they learn something else. But the fact that they tweeted this out is a little bit strange. So I will look into it, see if this person has anything valuable to share, or if they are somebody who we can trust. I'll probably look into it a little bit further, but that's pretty much what you'll have in regards to this person. And now next up, though, we have a final little bit of thing from freaking Reddit of all places, and it's a bit of a prediction from somebody called Big Money D, who says, prediction on the game. So this tweet is the basis for my theory, and this is a tweet from Nintendo, which said the following: watch to see the reveal trailer for Pokémon Legends ZA, new adventure set entirely within Lumio City, coming to Nintendo Switch in 2025. He says, so if the tweet is to be taken literally, then the entire game is within the borders of Lumio City. We've all been in Lumios in X and Y. It's a big city relative to Pokemon cities, but it's definitely not the 5 regions of PLA big. So, if we're led to believe that we're confirmed within the walls of Lumios, then the only way we go is down into the catacombs. I have a feeling it'll be Mystery Dungeon-esque of catacomb exploring, collecting resources for the city, and catching Pokemon. Could even be procedurally generated. I haven't figured out how they do different biomes, but it could be similar to how they handled it in the Grand Underground in BDSP, which, yes, very true. You did have the Grand Underground with different biomes and stuff. Also, in the video, it talks about the redevelopment of Lumios as an urban city. A lot of people have taken it to mean in the future, like we're talking taking the already urban Lumios and making it more urban, question mark, but it's more likely it's in the past when they renovated Paris and built the Eiffel Tower, which is actually around the same time that Hokkaido was being colonized and developed, which was the setting for PLA. You guys can see right here, Hokkaido Development Commission. The Hokkaido Development Commission, sometimes referred to as the Hokkaido Colonization Office, or simply Kaitakushi, was a government agency in early Meiji, Japan, tasked with the administration, economic development, and securing of the northern frontier in what at the time was known as Ezo. And, basically, that's what he's talking about there. And then the second thing is, of course, the redevelopment, the Haussmann renovation of Paris, right? Yeah, TLDR, my prediction is that it takes place around the same time as PLA. The exploration and gameplay will take place underground rather than out in the region, which, to be fair, that is what we've been talking about several times already. We've all kind of speculated that might be the case. So I will agree with this. I think this actually makes a lot of sense. Like, this doesn't sound that crazy, actually, in terms of as a theory. So I'm going to be honest, sounds pretty reasonable. Then there's a bit of a crazier theory. This one comes to us from Diej on also Reddit, who says, Pokemon Pink, Gray, and Z equals the 3 long-rumored and lost and cancelled Pokemon games. Thoughts? What he talks about here is basically Pokemon Pink was an actually rumored Pokemon game, which turns out to being real. Like, they actually were working on a Pokemon Pink version, but it never happened. Pokemon Gray was also a rumored game that was being worked on. That was supposed to be a follow-up to Pokemon Black and White. Pink was supposed to be a follow-up to, I think, Red, Blue, Green, Yellow, and them. It was supposed to be like another version, like similar to Yellow, right? It's supposed to be a follow-up version. And then Pokemon Z was a long-rumored game as well that was also in the works, which they canceled. So All three of those are canceled games, saying Pokemon Pink, Gray, and Z, the three long-rumored games, lost and canceled games, thoughts. And what he means here is that if you look at the logo, you have a bit of a pink in the logo here of the Pokemon, you have the gray on the outlines, you have the Z and the A, right? So the Z for Pokemon Z, the pink for Pokemon Pink, the gray for Pokemon Gray, which is a cool theory. It says, edit, more speculation, ZA refers to the end and the beginning. End of a chapter, based on the aesthetics of the Z, Zygarde technology and lifeless, and A, green, full of life. It makes me think of a new beginning, maybe post-apocalyptic plot about rebuilding a sustainable society after tech-obsessed world of today, which, again, could work. So that's pretty much what we're going to be ending off this video, guys. Thank you all for watching as per usual. I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Peace out and bye-bye, ladies and gentlemen.